Happy New Year. I'm Doug Henschen, VP and Principal Analyst at Constellation Research, covering data decisions.
And I'm Dion Hinchcliffe, VP and Principal Analyst, covering the future of work and CIO topics. And we're your co-hosts for episode 49 of Constellation Research TV.
Now, as usual, we're covering news and trends in enterprise tech. And this week, I'll share a summary of my latest report on optimizing cloud data warehouse spend.
And in our final segment, we'll hear from Andy Thurai, interviewing Michal Rada of the Zeelandia Group, winner of a 2022 SuperNova Award in the AI and Augmented Humanity category. But first, let's get to the news. Doug, what do you have?
Well, there was an executive shakeup at Workday over the holidays, with the company announcing the appointment of board member Carl Eschenbach as co-CEO. He will serve alongside current co-CEO Anil Bhusri, Workday's co-CEO and co-founder, and he replaces Chano Fernandez, who had served as co-CEO since August of 2020 and who joined the company in 2014. Now, it's notable that Workday announced that Eschenbach is expected to become the sole CEO in January 2024, at which time Bhusri will become executive chairman while continuing as chairman of the board of directors. Eschenbach has 35 years of experience in the industry. He's been a general partner of Sequoia Capital since 2016, and he previously spent 14 years as in top executive roles at VMware, including president, COO, CFO, executive VP of field operations. So he's done it all there and had several roles before that. So to me, it's all about succession planning, making sure that they have the right executive to bring Workday into the future. And maybe another sign, together with co-CEO Brett Taylor's recent surprise resignation at Salesforce, that the co-CEO model should be used for temporary transition. You know, I haven't seen many co-CEO situations play for the long haul. How about you, Dion?
Well, speaking of CEOs in transition, I've been analyzing the whole FTX cryptocurrency exchange saga with erstwhile CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, who's accused of mishandling many billions in client funds. But as I've been digging into the story, it's actually a lot bigger than most people think, and that FTX had actually hired or otherwise influenced about half of the commissioners and regulators at the Commodities and Futures Exchange Commission. That's pretty surprising. They hired Gary Gensler's former general counsel. Gary Gensler is the chairman of the SEC. And so there's a lot of interesting things going on, including they hired one of the former commissioners of the commodity to write a law that was favorable to FTX. That they submitted to two senators who submitted the bill unchanged, written by FTX, to move regulation of cryptocurrency from the SEC to the Commodities and Futures Trading Commission. They were heavily influencing and hiring in a revolving door fashion. What does this have to do with the enterprise? Well, the underlying technologies in crypto, specifically things like blockchain and distributed ledgers, digital assets in general is widely perceived to be in the future of things like real estate deeds and automobile registrations and citizen voting records, because it's immutable and a store of trust. And now the whole fallout, and we're seeing a lot of contagion happen. There's likely going to be more collapsing exchanges in the next few months. A lot of them are teetering right now. And as I talked to a lot of public sector CIOs, many of them are adopting these digital asset technologies for their constituencies, for things that they're planning to do. Same thing in NGOs, same thing in the enterprise to a lesser extent. They're a little slower. But the public sector has been very excited about all this. Now we're seeing a lot of this innovation and a lot of the investments that they were planning to make now being questioned, even though FTX is just a simple story of fraud and corruption. So I'm just seeing a lot of public sector CIOs now unsure. They made big plans in 2023 and 2024 to go toward digital assets. We now have a digital dollar that's in testing right now. It's going to change create a new currency for the first time in a very long time for the United States. Now all is up in the air. So it's interesting to watch. But the big takeaway is, as far as we can tell, none of the underlying technologies are at fault. It's just a simple story of fraud. It's going to be a tough year for a lot of folks that are planning to bank on it.
That would be my takeaway. Don't blame the technology for, for fraudulent activity. It's not going to survive bad objectives with good technology. So speaking of meltdowns, we had a financial meltdown as well as an airline meltdown over the holidays. It was Southwest Airlines had several days of outages, cancellations of flights, and it exposed the legacy software underbelly of the airline industry. According to the Wall Street Journal, the problems were tied to off-the-shelf legacy crew assignment software called SkySolver. That application, which is owned by GE Aerospace, is decades old, is known to be nearing the end of its life. So why Southwest was relying on dated crew scheduling software, that will be among the tough questions that'll get asked at a Senate Commerce Committee hearing that's now scheduled. The meltdown also drew the attention of the White House and the Department of Transportation, which promised to ensure full refunds for the many tens of thousands of people that were affected by the cancellations. And as the Wall Street Journal reported, the airline industry is overdue for a software overhaul to take advantage of scalable cloud, analytics, real-time technologies that the industry has been slow to adopt. Now, airlines face a tough coordination and network optimization challenges. They have to deal with federal regulations, weather, crew status, location, aircraft maintenance, and routing. And what compounded this problem was Southwest's point-to-point approach to flight scheduling, in contrast to the more typical hub and spoke model that airlines use. And as our Ray Wong told the Wall Street Journal, airlines generally do a better job with aircraft maintenance and repair, but have been further behind on human factors such as matching crews with equipment and passengers. So it sounds like a good case for graph technologies together with state-of-the-art analytics, real-time data. You could think this would be a solvable problem, even amidst the huge storms that swept much of the country during the holidays. I know of more than a few tech vendors that would just love to help airlines solve these nettlesome problems.
Yeah, it's very interesting, Doug. A lot of the issues in IT in general are not caused by the technology, but by their not being applied correctly or even applied at all. That was a totally solvable problem. But speaking of solvable problems, one of the interesting things that Intel's been working on, because they've increasingly been surrounded by very aggressive new vendors, companies like Apple, who are making really compelling and quite cost-effective competitive chips. The whole custom silicon phenomenon. Tesla's think they can beat NVIDIA in terms of overall compute power, by the dollar. So Intel has announced a one API cross-architecture hedge. It's a framework that allows you to basically, no matter what CPU, GPU, FPGA you're using, be able to move workloads wherever they are, wherever you have them to wherever you want them to be, not being hampered by the fact that it wasn't written for that CPU or that particular hardware platform. And this is really smart because this is what CIOs want. They don't want fragmentation of their hardware portfolio and saying, now I'm losing all my flexibility. I can't just run things where I need them to run. I've got to rewrite them or re-architect them. Well, now with their one API new 2023 release, they're including the widest gamut that's currently available and ensure that you're writing for Intel and also run everywhere else. And that's a really smart move. I think that's going to give Intel some legs and give some breathing room to get their story straight and get more competitive with some of their more aggressive folks that have recently entered the market. It's great to see because developers want to learn how to write for FPGAs, for example. It's very difficult, but if you just know it's going to run over there, you get the advantage of those new hardware platforms. But again, you get Intel's one API. Are they
also covering some of the proprietary chips we're seeing from cloud vendors like
not yet?
AWS and Google's chips?
Right now, they're focusing more on GPUs, so that if you run on AMD versus NVIDIA, you can switch back and forth. So it's very ambitious what we're doing.
Well, that's all the time we have for the news this week, but stay tuned for a recap of my latest report on optimizing cloud data warehouse spend, followed by Andy's interview with SuperNova Award winner Michal Rada of Zeelandia Group. But first, let's hear from our producer, Hannah Hock, on what's new and notable at Constellation Research.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah Hock with the Constellation marketing team, back again for another segment of New and Noteworthy at Constellation to let you know what's coming up in January 2023. To kick it off, Constellation analyst Holger Mueller just published a new report on hybrid work in 2023, so go check it out on our website, constellationr.com/research, and keep an eye out for new reports that will be coming down the pipeline for Q1 of this year. For upcoming events, we have an analyst-client exchange discussion coming up on January 14th at 8 a.m. Pacific time, where our clients can bounce ideas off one another and our analysts. Then later in the month, on January 27th at 8 a.m., we have our CXO Hours discussion, which is open for any CXO professional to ask our analyst market or trend questions and have informal dialogue. Finally, on Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, Constellation founder Ray Wong and Vala Afshar from Salesforce will be interviewing 3 enterprise leaders doing a brand new episode of Disrupt TV. Lastly, we want to hear from you, our Constellation Network, about what is top of mind for 2023. We ask that you take 2 minutes to fill out our customer satisfaction survey, linked in both the show notes and posted on our social media channels, and we will use these recommendations to inform our content in the new year. Well, that's all I have for you this week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, this is Doug Henschen of Constellation Research with a recap of my latest report on why data warehouse services are ground zero for cloud cost optimization. So let's dive right in. And one of the key reasons I wrote this report is all the talk of recession. Now, we explored this topic as part of our Constellation CXO Confidence Survey published in November and found that our 78 C-suite respondents are overwhelmingly expecting to spend as much or more on technology in 2023 than they did in 2022. As you see here, 59% of the respondents have raised their 2023 tech budgets either slightly, moderately, or significantly. Yet paradoxically, 67% of these same respondents said no when asked whether 2023 would bring a better business climate than 2022. So the bottom line is that businesses are preparing for worsening conditions, and the first step in a downturn is always cost cutting. Now, this is further confirmed by the venerable Flexera's State of the Cloud report. The 2022 installment of that annual survey found that nearly 60% of cloud customers named optimizing existing use of the cloud as their number one priority. Now, this has been true for a couple of years running now. Let's face it, cloud expenditures have been growing for years. Companies were already spending more time on cloud cost optimization. It has given rise to the so-called FinOps scrutiny, CFOs and finance departments spending more time scrutinizing cloud spend, and you can expect those efforts to intensify in 2023. So the second reason I chose this topic, other than the fact that it's at the heart of my data decisions coverage, is that data warehouse services are not only storage and compute intensive, they're also quite popular, ranking as the number one platform as a service offering in use by cloud customers. According to Flexera's study, 38% of light cloud users, 54% of moderate cloud users, and 60% of heavy cloud users are harnessing data warehouse platform as a service offerings. The second most popular PaaS service is transactional database services. So you are a cloud customer and you're contemplating adding a data warehouse cloud service, or you want to optimize your costs and spending on an existing cloud service. What should you consider? Now, my report details these 5 points. Point number 1, the service should address multi-cloud deployment. This is so you can bring workloads, bring data to the most cost-effective and productive place to bring that workload. So at a bare minimum, that means accessing data on multiple clouds. Ideally, the service should be able to run on multiple clouds. And on the cutting edge, you see these cloud services that let you move workloads seamlessly from cloud to cloud and do backups from one cloud to another. And they kind of hide the details. They are a cloud service, but they hide the details of which public cloud services that you're using behind the scenes. Make it simple to, again, bring the workloads and the data to the most cost-effective and appropriate spot. Point number 2, you hear a lot about so-called serverless offerings, serverless capabilities, auto-scaling, but keep in mind that serverless is an incomplete answer to cost control. Yes, there are spiky data warehouse workloads where compute demands go up and down, and that is the place where these come into play and help you save money when your services are down. You're not constantly spending the same amount of money for capacity. But most often, scaling is actually going in one direction, and that is up. Similarly, consumption-based pricing is not really about cost control. It's an important offering, but it's not really about cost control. The storyline is always, well, you pay for only what you use. But in reality, it's an open invitation to use more, and more. And as more data is added, more users gain access to the analytics, consumption tends to go in one direction, and that is up. And what really helps with cost control is a range of subscription models that best fit your usage patterns, with per query, capacity-based models being commonplace. All the better if there are multiple discount levels for the time-based and capacity-based commitments that you can make, as well as flexibility to exceed those levels without facing punitive pricing. Now, finally, point 5, there's no better cost control than resource efficiency. So in addition to having analytics about where your spending stands, where your usage of available capacity stands, as well as cost guardrails to constrain certain queries if they're less important than others, you should look for automation, state-of-the-art workload management, and query optimization features that enable you to eke more performance out of every unit of memory, network capacity, and compute. So this reduces the need to scale up, scale out, or switch to more powerful and more expensive resources. So, in conclusion, my report gives you these 6 points to help guide you to better data warehouse service choices and more efficient use of the services you choose. If I had to sum up, I'd say that the only way to really control cloud costs is to take control. My recommendations point to how you can organize people, establish processes, and take advantage of technologies to make the most of your data warehouse budget. So download and read my report at ConstellationR.com or email me at doug@ConstellationR.com to request a courtesy copy. This is Doug Henschen of Constellation Research, wishing you a productive, prosperous, and cost-effective 2023.
For those who didn't know, Michal Rada, he is the corporate ICT director and transformation leader with a company called Zeelandia Group. Michal Rada won our SNA award for the AI and augmented humanity category. Congratulations, Michal.
My role helping the Zeelandia Group become more of a connected organization and transforming our operation and operating model in getting the benefits of scale, but still keeping what makes us Zeelandia, which is a local entrepreneurship and a strong focus on customer intimacy intact. So finding the sweet spot between the scale and the being still seen as a local player. And I started by accepting that challenge of transforming the Zeelandia, and then being crazy enough, I also accepted the role of corporate ICT director, because I think that the two things can nicely complement each other. And in fact, you cannot be serious about digitalization and being ICT director and not having a transformation and the change management in mind or on your agenda. So,
got it. So you're a digital transformation leader, helping those Zeelandia high scale across the globe. Simply.
Yes.
So let's start off with the problem. The first problem that I noticed that that was affecting your business. People don't realize how much the war in Ukraine and the war between Ukraine and Russia screwed up the supply chain, particularly when it comes to the pastries industry. Tell me more about it.
The COVID crisis. At the time, the supply chain also got hit, right, by limited availability of containers from China, by any kind of issues in the supply chain. So I'm not saying we were saying this coming, but we started taking steps in order to be more resilient and flexible. And it has very much to do with the data and the way you can leverage and use the data you have available at the end of the day.
So I saw that you saw the challenge, and then you started, applying the data to do that. What got solved? How smooth the operation became?
Well, for us, we've always had this challenge, right? That we addressed with the AI solution, because we are in the B2B business, and we are a repeated business, which means that we have a portfolio of customers that we do a repeated business with. And then key success factor is, in fact, being able to increase our share of wallet with these customers, because we are regularly visiting them, supporting them, delivering to them, and then of course the more from our portfolio we can offer to these customers, the better it is, and more effective and profitable it is for both sides, right? So it's not only about us, but it's about our customers. But then the question is, how do you know what products you can be selling to that customer? And then, at the best you can do, either you have all that expert knowledge by seeing the product portfolio of the customer and then try selling it back into our products, etc. Or you can have a machine doing this for you. So learning these patterns, being able to compare consumer shopping patterns to other consumer shopping patterns, to group it, and then to make a recommendation on based on what the customer is already buying with what he might be buying, in fact. And then also to bring it one step further, to rank those suggestions by probabilities of customer being attracted to that offering. And that is great help to our sales force, to our marketing, on making more and better targeted offerings to our customers, and by doing so to keep on increasing the share of wallet we have with these customers. There are two words, right? You have your forecasting, where you use statistical methods, you use timeline smoothing, name it, but it's all based on the actual sales and products that you're already selling to the customer, because you cannot forecast the products you are not selling yet to a customer.
Yeah, that's true.
But what we can do is we can see what we could offer to a customer, offer it to him, and then of course working backwards, it has a supply chain consequences. So we can and what we are doing is that we are limiting, for instance, those offerings to products that we have supply for, right? It is stupid to recommend products that may be high in demand, but that are short in supply, and then we'd be creating more troubles to both sides, to both us and the customers. So that is how we can, and how we're linking those two. At the same time,
that's great. Yeah.
At the same time, we are using this product recommender, for instance, for the products, because we're in the food, where we may have troubles with the shelf life. For whatever reasons, demand changes, we may have products that are running out of the shelf life, and then we can have a targeted action, and that, yes, maybe to the customers that are already buying, but we can even maybe benefit more from offering these products to the customers that are not actual customers, of those products.
So have you measured the monetization angle of it ever since you started using AI? Did your business go up? What are the measurable metrics?
For us, the one measurable metrics was that one based on how much time do we need for preparing a sales visit, because then we were, by doing so, we were promoting the tool, right? Because it depends on the benefits of tool can only be achieved if the tool is being used, right? So you have to work on the adoption, and the adoption was really to be able to demonstrate what we can gain on the process side. So that the time needed to prepare a sales visit went down from, depending of course on the knowledge of the sales rep in question, down to really 5 minutes at max, right? That's why.
So a sales rep needs to spend only 5 minutes to come up to speed on what to sell for a specific customer?
Yes.
How much it used to be before?
Well, it used to be, they to prepare for one sales visit, we estimated that it takes somewhere between 20 to 30 minutes, and that's one customer. If you're about to visit 4 customers a day, then you spend 2 hours if you're serious about it, right?
The difference is also what people don't realize is that when the 30-minute or to a 1 hour preparation time or 2 hour preparation time you're talking about is somebody with the full knowledge who has been on the job for many years with the tribal knowledge, as we call it. It takes that much for them to do it. But if you were to put a rookie people, as they call it, rookie person, brand new on the job, it could take maybe days. As you said, they have to call up other people, they have to call up tech support, they have to call up supply chain. They got to figure it out by themselves. But standardizing it, you're basically democratizing the knowledge to all the sales reps across, right?
Yes. And basically, what we also did is that we enabled this information as part of a sales ordering process for our back office. So at the moment that they are in a call with the customer, this is what they can also recommend. And for instance, for the policy of minimum orders, etc., that is really helpful if they are helped with the recommendation of what other products might be offered to the customer that is not buying yet. So, it's again about making as much use as we can from the data we have, which has been processed with the artificial intelligence, because then from raw data stuff, we are making it into a sort of knowledge, right? And we allow people to tap into that knowledge, not only in raw data.
The insights yes,
what you get. Exactly.
Otherwise, it would have been difficult to get without the AI. No, that's, again, like I said, when I read your use case, I was amazed. I'm like, like I said, I got a sweet tooth. So you got me when I started saying history.
Also with this use case, it feels like it's a great achievement, but yet we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
There's so much more.
That's why it's. I keep telling people AI is not necessarily just artificial intelligence. It's about augmented intelligence. But by the way, that's the name of the category as well. Because you need to assist humans with a human brain, as you said. There is only so much our brain can do with a lot of data. So you got to figure out a way to augment their intelligence to help insights to make the right decisions. The decisions can be made by humans, but ultimately your machines should be able to help them do it. So once again, congratulations, man. Job well done. Love to keep in touch and hear as you guys move along and doing the use cases. Congrats once again.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated. And more to come.
Well, that's a wrap for episode 49 of CRTV. Get set for our next episode in 2 weeks.
That's right. Our partners in crime, Holger Mueller and Liz Miller, will review episode 50 of CRTV. In the meantime, follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter at ConstellationR and at the hashtag CRTV Show.
How's that, Dion? Episode 50 went by like a dream. Thanks for watching and have a great week.
Hello, Doug. How are you?
Good.
Okay. I like your water bottle, cheetah print.
It's
very sporty.
My son's college, Lafayette Leopards.
Lafayette Leopards.
Oh, okay. Yeah, pretty themed though. Okay, good.
It was I can't remember. I think a birthday present from him.
He got it free.
The last minute, pick up at the college bookstore before he came home. Are you hearing me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm hearing you. All right. I guess I'm taking it away. So that Eschenbach is expected to become, Hannah, I'm going to go again because you got to go to the one shots.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
Okay. And I noticed Dion was like scratching his nose and stuff. So let's do it again. We had not a financial meltdown, but an airline meltdown over the holidays. Southwest. Let's do that again.